Hi, welcome to the EHR July Refresher Training. This is video part 1. Our topic today is going to be the right-click actions for your prescriptions. And then in our second video, we're going to go over reconciling meds, allergies, and problems, and recording the PMP. So for right-click actions for your prescriptions, from your patient's chart, or anywhere that you get to the medication section. If you were to right-click on the medication, there's a few different things that I'm going to point out. We're not going to go through everything in the list, but I am going to point out a few. So the first one at the top, besides the new, which you can get to from the bottom of the medication window, as well as going to your RXs in your banner, we have the info button. The info button you can click on and it will give you information related to this particular medication. Okay, you can view. View is just going to open up your medication so you can view how it was written previously. View in a new window just opens it in a new window. Edit also just opens it up. You can't really make any changes in here once it loads. It's all grayed out. So it's basically just another way of viewing it. Annotate. Annotate is a way of putting a note on a particular medication. So if I open up and I annotate, it gives me this new annotation window. Type in your information, whatever note it is that you want, and say OK. So it does light up my commit. You'll notice next to the medication there's an asterisk. And when I go back into the medication, if I go to annotation, I'll see right under annotation the note that I put in. It does time stamp it, date stamp it, and user stamp it. So it's a great place to record maybe why you've canceled a medication, why you denied a medication, that type of thing. It doesn't go out on the prescription. It is just on the medication in the patient's chart. So once you've annotated, the next one lights up is view annotation. So you can double click to view the annotation, or you can right click and go to view annotation. Now I'm going to change medications because my next one, renew. We don't recommend using renew. What this does is it sends the prescription out exactly the way it was originally written. You cannot make any changes to it. The next one is renew with changes. Renew with changes will open up. Yes, I have unverified meds. Will open up your renewal window so you can make changes to that particular medication. You can change the way it was written, how many refills, the quantity, the pharmacy, who it's ordered by. You can put notes to the pharmacy as well. So that's renew with changes. Void. Now, if I had a medication like I have right here to authorize, so it's renewal voided, but I might have a section for medication that's waiting for authorization. If I right click on it, if my void was lit up, that was my way of denying that refill request. So void is deny, and what it does is it puts it into another section named active renewal voided. So it's the same as denial. Authorize, if that were lit up, if it was a prescription that was written and needed to be authorized by the provider, you'd have access to authorize. And what that does is it authorizes the medication and sends it out to the pharmacy. Now your re-sign failed EPCS signature, void failed CS and order new RX, and print CS after transmit failure. These are only after your EPCS, your controlled substances, if they've failed and there is a CS transmit failed task created. These would be listed inside that task, and you'd be able to come back in and either re-sign that failed EPCS signature, void it and write a new prescription, or be able to print it out because the transmit failed. The next one is continue. Continue just marks that medication as continue. It's great for documentation when you're treating the patient, if you're telling them to continue that medication, but you're not renewing it. So you can click continue, and it does just document that it's going to be continued. Complete today. If it was an antibiotic, and it didn't automatically complete, or another medication that you wanted to just mark that it was completed as of today, take it off the active medication list, complete today, put today's date on it, and marks it as complete. Complete on, we'll mark it as complete, but it opens another window that you can pick the date. So when you want to document that it was completed on what date. Order discontinued. This is for the providers to use. This is when they're ordering the patient to discontinue use of this medication. So that should only be directed from the providers, not from the staff. The staff would use record discontinued when they're updating the patient's medication. They would record discontinued if they're told that they've stopped taking a medication, whether it was directed by another provider or they decided to stop taking it on their own. Temporary deferral, if you wanted to defer this medication, you can mark it as temporarily deferred. It'll put it into another category where it's listed as temporarily deferred. Now, once you're ready to put it back into the active, stop deferral will be lit up, and you'd be able to click that and move it back to an active medication. Entered in error down towards the bottom. So if there's a medication that was entered and it was in error, you weren't denying it, it truly was put in there by mistake, you can enter it in error. There are some times that you would enter in error an old prescription. If you needed to write a new one, you can enter an error as well. It takes it out of the active medication list. Verify and add and remove. These are for the unverified meds that come in from the pharmacies or electronic documents that come from the hospitals or other providers. And you would be able to right-click on the medication, verify and add it to the active medication list as recorded, or remove it. So it's something that's maybe already in the chart and you don't want to add it, so you can remove it. You always have the ability to add something to your favorites. Now, reconcile, I'm going to show you how to reconcile easier than doing it from a right click. So, print medication list. This is a great place to come if you want to print the medication list for the patient. It's for them to take home. You really only want them to, just have the medication list. You didn't want to give them a clinical summary. Great thing for the elderly to carry to give to other providers as well. Show potential duplicates. This is a place that sometimes when you have those unverified meds, you've verified them all, you try to reconcile, and it says that there are other medications you can't reconcile. Sometimes there's some hiding. So show potential duplicates will bring those duplicates to the forefront where you can then verify those. Reprint, resend. What this does is it will either reprint the prescription or resend it, however it was originally done. So if you'd originally sent a prescription to the pharmacy electronically, when you click on this, it's going to send it back electronically. So if you wanted to print a prescription after it's been sent, you'd have to renew with changes, change the method from pharmacy to print, and then you'd be able to print it out for the patient. Drug education, another one, it's like your info button, but it's education on this particular medication. And then you can force an interaction check, which would automatically run when you've written a prescription. So that's all of the right-click menu. Most important, that are used all the time, renew with changes. So please join us for video number 2. We are going to be covering reconciling meds, allergies, and problems, and recording the Connecticut PMP. Thanks for joining.